and hope that everyone had a great summer. And we're all looking forward to working together. I can see that the work has already been in place, that we're going to have a great year ahead, and that we are going to work cohesively and to ensure that our students are empowered, given the tools that they need to take charge of their future. So we are all looking forward to be part of that journey. So welcome back as we are going to begin our new school year. At this time, I'm just going to ask us to please stand for the land acknowledgement and our national anthems.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. Um, I also want to take the time to just welcome our two student trustee, student Cherie from the north, and student Alman from the south. And these student trustees will be here working with us. And their mentors are Trustee Benjamin and Trustee Brad McDonald. Welcome, and hopefully that you have a great experience and that you will enjoy the journey. We also want to recognize Cherie parents that is here today supporting her from our Lincoln Alexander family of school. And before I ask for approval of the agenda, I'm going to ask that we had under item 11, report from trustee appointed to external organization. I'm going to ask that we had in there report from trustee Bailey. All right. With that said, I have no other additions to the agenda. Can I have someone move and second it? Trustee Jill Tominelli and Trustee Jahal. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any declaration of conflict of interest? I'm not seeing any. So we're going to move. Item 6 is celebrating our board activities. And they're all on the screen behind us. As we can see, that there's a number of activities, and we want to ensure that we all join in this celebration when these time come around. Thank you. And 6.2, school, student, and staff success. Okay, all right. So tonight, we are gonna leave that one for next board meeting. All right, great. So we're gonna move down to item 7.1, which is our recognition of our staff that have retired. And is Trustee Cole online? I'm not seeing her. Okay, all right. So tonight, there's a number of staff that has been retiring from the board, and we want to take the time to just to say thank you for your commitment and your dedication to this board. You have served us well over the years that you have been with this board, and we want to wish you well in your retirement. Whatever you do, make sure that you take some time to rest, reflect, and for all the teachers and principal and vice principal, remember, we always welcome back Peel staff when we're looking for great people to come back and do some mentoring and even do some work for us. So thank you for your commitment to this board. Thank you. And on the chair announcement, I'll just let the board, my colleagues know that the Ontario School Board Association has started their planning session journey for the school year, and that will be taking place all day tomorrow. And I will be there representing the board as the exec member. If there's anything important that comes out of that planning session, I'll bring back a report to this board. So thank you. Someone move that. Trustee Davy, Trustee Clark. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Number 9, Director Suru.
Thank you, Chair Green. And good evening, trustees, staff, and guests. As we welcome a new school year, it gives me great pleasure to share some recent highlights of our work that our staff has engaged in to ensure students are provided with a variety of learning opportunities. I'd like to begin with an update on the ministry directives. Over the last 2 years, staff and educators in all levels of the Peel Board have devoted themselves to meeting the requirements of the 27 ministry directives and delivering the more than 54 actions intended.
If you're in Teams, just turn off your microphone, please, or mute. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Director.
Was speaking about the 27 ministry directives and delivering the more than 54 actions intended to combat racism and systemic inequities. As you can see on the screen, 26 of the 27 directives have been submitted to the ministry, of which 9 have been approved and 13 are waiting approval. There are 4 directives that have been submitted and require periodic progress reports as follows: the Equity Action Plan for Directive 10, Equity Strategy for Directive 14, Student Discipline Audit Report for Directive 21, Progress Reports on Racial Disparities in Suspension, Expulsion, and Exclusion for Directive 22. Work remains on only one directive, which is Directive 26, Fairness and Equity in Employment Strategy, for which the plan is being submitted today, and we will work on developing the strategy this year. As part of our commitments to creating inclusive anti-racist environments, we will be launching the Affirming Muslim Identities and Dismantling Islamophobia strategy, as well as the 2S LGBTQIA+ action plan this year, both of which will support us as we go deeper with our understanding of how to serve all students. We will also continue to provide required professional learning sessions for staff on anti-oppression, anti-racism, anti-Black racism, and human rights. Next, I would like to share about Summer Learning in Peel District School Board. I'm pleased to share that we offered an incredibly wide range of program options for the 2023 summer learning. In programs such as Camp Sail and Camp Explore, we focus on literacy and numeracy for kindergarten to grade 12. Nearly 2,200 students were enrolled in these programs, which also included experiential learning opportunities. Camp Possible supported a further 2,000 students who received special education supports with access to a range of virtual learning opportunities designed to meet their needs. With transition to high school being an important part of success for grade 9, over 500 grade 8 students were enrolled in the STAR program, which stands for Secondary Transition and Readiness. We also had more than 1,100 high school students enrolled in summer learning designed to support secondary school students to earn credits in pursuit of their post-secondary pathways. This included innovative and specialized programs for historically marginalized students, such as our work-integrated programs in partnership with universities where students earned a summer salary along with grade 11 or 12 credits. Agents for Social Change was expanded and included almost 250 kindergarten to grade 12 students who self-identify as Black. Monjiding Wingushtiang Culture Camp served 33 Indigenous students in grades 3 to 12 at our newly launched Center for Indigenous Excellence and Land-Based Learning. In our continued efforts to support all students, we are happy to share that nearly 800 adult learners enrolled in summer learning opportunities as part of their post-secondary education and career pathways. Peel District School Board continues to be a board that demonstrates our commitment to learning and supporting the various needs of students all year long, including the summer. And next, I would speak to the Math Achievement Action Plan. The Ministry of Education is expecting that all school boards with priority schools create a Math Achievement Action Plan for the 2023-2024 school year. To promote effective math instruction, it is important for educators to recognize that not all students learn math in the same way or within the same timeframes. Within Peel, we are creating a Math Achievement Action Plan for all schools alongside literacy achievement and sense of belonging goals to ensure system alignment for student achievement. Peel District School Board's action plan will focus on supporting educators from kindergarten to grade 12 to better understand math curriculum, building math content knowledge for teaching and learning, assisting educators in really getting to know students in both their identity and learning profiles, measuring results that demonstrate improvements in math achievement. School math facilitators are being hired this month. They will work directly with students and teachers in each of the identified grades 3, 6, and 9 priority school classrooms. Math facilitators will work directly with students who require additional support, as well as with teachers and in classrooms to support consistent and intentional implementation of high-impact instructional practices and early intervention strategies. The work ahead is exciting and will help us keep a heightened focus on mathematical instruction and the ongoing academic success of students in Peel District School Board. More information and specific deliverables on this plan will continue to roll out as the year gets underway. A little bit about curriculum. The new Ontario language curriculum is a comprehensive approach to literacy education and represents a critical shift in the way we teach literacy in Ontario. Designed to meet the diverse needs of all learners and informed by the Right to Read Inquiry report, the new Ontario language curriculum places a strong emphasis on foundational language and literacy skills, both oral and written, which are essential for supporting complex abilities like critical thinking and problem solving, as well as a new targeted focus on evidence-based, systematic, and explicit instruction. System-wide plans guided by the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Department to support the implementation of this new curriculum include the development of a comprehensive literacy achievement action plan to monitor and maintain the fidelity of each school's individual plans, ensuring consistent and effective implementation of literacy initiatives across all schools. 30 early literacy coaches to support the 60 most vulnerable kindergarten to grade 3 schools. Professional learning for all schools who serve students in kindergarten to grade 9. Next is the Safe Schools Action Plan. We recognize that student learning and physical and mental well-being are premised on positive learning environments that are equitable, safe, inclusive, accepting, anti-oppressive, and anti-racist. Policy 48, Safe and Caring Schools, clearly articulates Peel Board's obligations under the Education Act and its regulations related to school and student safety and progressive discipline. To promote these positive learning environments, the Safe and Caring Schools Department, in collaboration with central departments, has created a toolkit of resources to be implemented in all Peel schools commencing September 2023. Excuse me. The toolkit contains grade and age-appropriate lessons, as well as resources that administrators and teachers will deliver to ensure students understand the expectations for behavior that are conducive to positive teaching and learning environments. Later this evening, you'll hear more information about this critical work. Excuse me. Mental health and well-being.
We're just going to ask our governance officer to continue to report on behalf of the director. Meantime,
Thank you. And on behalf of the director and through you, Mr. Chair, mental health and well-being. Peel District School Board continues its commitment to supporting the mental health and well-being of students, families, and staff. This has included service to over 500 students and families through Be Well support line and over 30,000 visits to the Be Well student website, which launched in September 2022. Our registered mental health professionals in social work and psychology have provided suicide intervention and prevention training, including Assist, Safe Talk, and Assist Tune-Up to over 700 PDSB staff, which aligns with our goal to have a minimum of 2 trained staff members in each school. For the first time ever, we have also offered the Safe Talk Suicide Awareness Workshop to parents and caregivers, which was met with great success and empowerment of parents and caregivers to support their children. Registered mental health professionals have also provided support to a variety of family of schools and board-wide events, including You Are Not Alone, YANA, and Black Students Alliance, BSA, conferences, Healing Through Art workshop, Newcomer Parent Engagement and Orientation to Mental Health Services session, a Microaggressions and Islamophobia in the School Community session, and many others. These community outreach activities have built understanding about the continuum of mental wellness and helped to destigmatize mental health help finding and demystify pathways to support. The teams also provided counseling groups that develop skills in coping, wellness, and resilience, and provided affinity spaces for Black, 2S LGBTQ1A+, and female identifying students. Over 150 students participated in groups, and another 100 secondary students participated in the drop-in series, Let's Talk, Be Well. These groups bring together students that shared lived experiences and identities and help them understand that they have support in any struggles or stresses they may have. Finally, the professional student services personnel have provided targeted professional learning for nearly 2,000 Peel staff on topics such as trauma-informed and trauma responsive education, the healthy relationships curriculum, understanding mental health, understanding the impact of microaggressions in the school community, and many others. Through the development of our new mental health strategy and the support offered to the staff, students, and families of Peel, the registered mental health professionals of PDSB strive to raise awareness, decrease stigma, and empower individuals to take care of themselves and to seek help when needed. We are extremely proud of the work of our teams and look forward to continued partnerships in the future. In conclusion, we have shown that we can do things better, helping students succeed in their ambitions, establishing positive, high-achieving learning and working environments for students and staff, and nurturing pride in the Peel District School Board community. A sincere thanks to all staff for their commitment and dedication to student success. Thank you.
Happy to take any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Director, I'm seeing none. Director, on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, I want to thank you for that report and very robust. And I believe that we are going places. Let's put it that way. So thank you very much again. And to all the staff that has been involved over the summer, working vigorously. I personally had first-hand experience of a few of the coding camp. It was just amazing. And I think we are on the right path. This train is moving. Thank you very much. Trustee Brad McDonald is moving that. Trustee Cameron is seconding that. Report from me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And we are going to move to 11 at this time. Trustee Bailey.
Thank you. On August 9th to 11th, I had the pleasure and honor to attend Ottawa for the Canadian Congress of Black Parliamentarians. That's where 45 Black elected officials from across Canada all came together, nonpartisan, to encapsulate its mission through 5 actionable priorities. These priorities included the eradication of eradication of systemic racism, the eradication of systemic poverty by promoting economic development within and among Black communities, including setting aside for Black business in government procurement and establishing targeted entrepreneurship programs, the promotion of healthcare, including social determinants encompassing housing and community, the promotion of education, and the building of capacity to offer new opportunities and addressing the unique challenges and opportunities Black Canadians face. This was an incredible opportunity to be sitting with so many of my people and discussing some of the challenges that we've all faced personally, but also professionally. So this is something that is going to be happening and continuing on. Our next meeting is scheduled for sometime in December.
Thank you, Trustee Bailey, for that report. Appreciate it. I'm going to ask Trustee Benjamin and Trustee Clark to move that. All those in favor? Carry. Thank you. We're going to move to item 12, consent agenda item. I have none on this topic, and I'm just going to move to item 13, approval of minutes from previous board meetings. And 13.1, our minutes from our June 14 board meeting, they are here. Trustee Halve, Trustee Cameron. Question, concern? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And July 5th meeting, Trustee Brad McDonald, Trustee Jim Pomenari. Question, concerns? All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Sorry about that, Trustee Pomenari. What's your name there? I'm going to move down to 14, the minutes and motion for consideration. 14.1 is a special ed advisory minutes from May the 16th. Trustee Benjamin, Trustee Brad McDonald. Question, concerns? All those in favor? Carries. Okay. Yeah, yeah, this is for this one. Yeah. And then we're going to move to 14.2, the governance and policy of June the 7th. Trustee Hobbs, Trustee Davies. Question, concerns? See none. All those in favors? Carries. Out of that meeting, we got a motions for, which is the governance and policy meeting. And there are several meeting motions here. There's 3 different ones. The first one is that the Occupational Health and Safety Policy 23, that the Occupational Health and Safety Policy attached as Appendix 1 be approved. I'm going to take all 3 of them together, if you don't mind, trustees. And the second one of expulsion of suspension and expulsion record for student kindergarten to grade 3. And then that the expulsion of suspension and exclusion record for student kindergarten to grade 3 policy attached as Appendix 1 be approved, and that the interim policy 89 exclusion and suspension expulsion record for kindergartner to grade 3 be appealed. And then the third one, legal matter authority policy, that the legal matter authority policy be approved, and that the judicial matter policy be repealed. Okay, all 3 of them one time. Trustee Brad McDonald, Trustee Stan Cameron. Any question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. All right, and then we're going to move to 14.3, and it's the minutes from our audit committee for June the 8th, and Trustee Will Davey and Trustee, who else is on that? Trustee Hobbs. All those in favor? Carry. Thank you. And we're going to move down to staff report. And we're going to move down to 15A, which is, and this is all minister directives. So I'm going to turn over to this time to Director Saru to introduce Dr. Logan.
Thank you. And through you, Chair Green, I'll ask Associate Director Camille Logan to present the report on Directive 10.
Thank you, Directors Farouk, and through you, Chair Green. This report provides an update of Directive 10 and the ongoing work of establishing meaningful relationships with the community. The report on the Community Engagement Outreach Plan details the work that will be undertaken in the coming year to operationalize the Community Engagement Framework, Policy, and Procedures. This plan shows how PDSB will engage with internal and external stakeholders, rebuild and maintain trust and credibility with the field community. I will now call upon Lisa Hart, Superintendent of Education, Indigenous Education, School Engagement, and Community Relations, to provide an overview of the report.
Thank you, Associate Director Logan, and through you, Chair Green. As identified in the report, I would like to recommend the approval of the Community Outreach Plan, which meets one of the deliverables required in Ministry Directive 10, which has been developed by the Equity Department. As identified in the report, the plan is designed to leverage the narratives, voices, and experiences of those in Peel's diverse communities for the purpose of centering all members of our school communities, including students, families, and staff, as an essential component of system transformation. In response to the Ministry Directive 10, a plan has been created which has guided the development of the Community Outreach Plan. This includes developing the Community Outreach Policy and future procedures in consultation and collaboration with diverse communities, developing the Community Engagement Framework to guide and inform collaborative community work across the system. The Community Outreach Plan outlines a framework to continue to improve relationships with communities particularly those who have been underserved, marginalized, and silenced because of systemic discrimination and racism, better understand the perspectives and experiences of the community in order to establish effective programs and initiatives that meet the diverse needs of students and thereby supporting their success and well-being, demonstrating the board's responsiveness and accountability to the community, building trust with diverse communities through meaningful engagement that advance equity and human rights. The community outreach plan will continue to leverage the narratives, voices, and experiences of those in Peel's diverse communities, and we look forward to our continued partnership and ongoing conversations with diverse communities across the system. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Let me put it on the floor first. Trustee Clark and Trustee Hobbs. Do we have any question for Dr. Logan or for Superintendent? Okay, Trustee Bailey, go ahead.
Through you, Chair. This is a very robust plan, and I loved what I'm seeing in terms of engaging families, community members, students, and children. My question is, there is a lot on here that says, some says ongoing, some says quarterly or annually. In terms of how are you going to get the families to participate in the well, let's say it's a round table, and how will you determine who gets to participate, who does not get to participate?
So thank you for the question, Trustee Bailey, and through you, Chair. There are already some community roundtables and already meetings that are in place that happen, whether it's on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. For example, the Faith Leaders Roundtable, we meet 3 times a year. And so really looking at opportunities to leverage voices through diverse channels and opportunities that we can set up this year, kind of thinking forward about how we're hearing from diverse communities, as well as proactively finding ways to engage in, other stakeholder conversations.
Okay. And if you're not a part of a roundtable or a committee and you find out about it, how do you get involved?
So it's also working with school councils, and that's work that we'll be actively engaging in to find ways to really hear from, through diverse channels. And so really thinking about, how can we be creative as a system, whether it's through surveys, whether it's through questionnaires, whether it's through having town halls, opportunities to hear from community, students, staff, parents, community members, beyond kind of, structured roundtable situations.
And is it open to all communities, all members of the community?
I think that it depends in kind of what it is that we're consulting on. There are particular engagements that might be identity specific, but then there are opportunities even within some of those identity specific consultations that we're consulting broadly across Peel's diverse community.
Final question. Is any of that listed on the website where community members would be able to find out what they could be a part of?
So there is a community corner, I believe, that's been identified where if there are opportunities to provide feedback, that community could click on the link and kind of see what opportunities do exist.
Thank you.
Trustee Alp.
Thank you, Chairman. Through you, just a follow-up question to Trustee Bailey's kind of Q&A there. So once these consultations happen, will the groups that were consulted be listed anywhere for us for the general public to view? And then just to follow up, maybe I didn't understand. Would members of the community be able to proactively reach out and say, hey, I saw this somewhere, we would like to participate or offer, some information?
So thank you for the question, Trustee Alves, and through you, Chair Green. The initial question around, is it listed or documented somewhere? There are some consultations that are, formal, right? Where there is a consultation plan that will be developed. That, for example, when we're consulting on the operating procedures, there will be kind of a plan around who we're consulting with. In terms of where it will be publicly posted, I think when it's coming back through a report, it would identify who the groups were that were consulted on in the development of the operating procedure or the policy. And in terms of if there are groups that see something or a community member who's interested in giving feedback, always welcome that opportunity, because that opportunity to hear from members in our system is always an opportunity to build out the plan in a way that's more responsive.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, just one more follow-up. So where can we direct our communities to go to provide that feedback?
So at this point, we don't have necessarily a place where the different community outreach opportunities for consultation exist. So, for example, there are pieces of the community engagement policy that we'll be consulting on as it relates to the procedures. And when those consultation opportunities come up, it will be posted on our board website, and an invitation will be available for those in the community to be able to provide input.
Thank you. That's great.
I'm seeing none, so Trustee Bailey is moving this. This is for her approval. And Trustee Halves, second that. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Logan. Thank you, Superintendent Hart, for that report. Appreciate it. We are going to move down to Directive 14, performance appraisal schedule, and over to you, Director.
Through you, Chair Green, I will ask Associate Director Camille Logan to present Directive 14 report.
Thank you, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. This report is in satisfaction of a specific deliverable within the expected outcomes of Directive 14, the Comprehensive 4-Year Equity Strategy and Action Plan. This deliverable, which requires a schedule of performance appraisals for principals, supervisory officers, the Director of Education, and Associate Directors. In the report, you will see the full Directive 14 statement as it pertains to the Comprehensive 4-Year Strategy and Action Plan to address and eliminate statistically significant disproportionalities in various areas as identified within the directive itself. The purpose of this report is to fulfill the specific aspect of the deliverables, which is to submit a report that identifies a schedule of performance appraisals for principals, supervisory officers, the Director of Education, and Associate Directors. The report highlights that the principal performance appraisal process and schedule in alignment with the Education Act, which sets out the timelines, processes, and steps that are required, which is captured in policy HRS 34A for the principal appraisal process and HRS 34B for the vice principal appraisal process. The SOPA process, which is the supervisory officer's performance appraisal process and schedule, is in alignment with the Ministry of Education guidelines for appraisals of supervisory officers, and it is captured in policy HRS 34C, which is currently under revision. Additionally, a list of resources to support these processes is also included for further context in the report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. That it? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Logan. Any questions for Dr. Logan? Trustee Bailey and Trustee Davey is putting it on the floor. I am not seeing any. Thank you for that. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And we're going to move down to Directive 26, Fairness and Equitable Employment Strategy. Director Sru?
Yes, through you, Chair Green. I'll now ask Exec Officer of Human Rights, Masuma Kangura, to present the report on Directive 26.
Thank you, Director Swaroop. I'm going to actually pass it on to our Manager of Workplace Equity, Dr. Ariane De Silva. But I want to give you a little bit of background and introduce Ariane to the group. Ariane was hired to the board in January of 2023. She brings a wealth of knowledge in this field. Ariane has her PhD in developmental psychology and has extensive research background. And I'm happy to present Ariane to be able to present the report. Over to you.
Good evening. Through you, Executive Officer Kangura, Director Swaroop, and Chair Green, I'm presenting the overview of the Fairness and Equity and Employment Strategy Plan, which meets the requirements of Ministry Directive 26. The strategy outlines the board's commitments to equity for all PDSB prospective and current staff. The strategy will encourage the establishment of working environments that are free from barriers and seek to correct conditions of disadvantage in employment at PDSB. The overall strategy will be holistic in ensuring equity for staff during the employee's employment life cycle within the board, specifically from the pre-hiring onboarding phase through their employment to their offboarding at the end of their tenure at PDSB. Due to the breadth of the overall strategy, PDSB will adopt a milestone approach to ensure that each phase of employment at PDSB receives the focus needed to address any barriers as identified in the Employment Systems Review and based on findings from the PDSB Workforce Census. The pillars of the strategy include updated, standardized processes, evidence-based, and equity-informed decision-making and accountability. Our initial focus of the strategy will be on hiring at PDSB and will ensure that PDSB has a competency and evidence-based hiring program that values all data, including lived experience. This is to increase staff diversity such that our staff reflect the diversity of our student population. Other phases will include areas related to leadership, development and training, promotion and retention, and workplace flexibility, for example, part-time versus full-time employees, and the accommodation process. As seen in the report, the overall strategy will be anchored in PDSB's mission, and it will be inclusive of student and staff voice. In terms of next steps, HR will engage feedback from necessary stakeholders, so including students and staff, through collaboration with PDSB departments, such as innovation and research, which will be anticipated to be completed in December 2023. After this, the strategy will be refined following input from relevant stakeholders, and that will be anticipated to be completed in May 2024. An implementation plan will be developed, and the reporting of outcomes will follow cycles of data review. To further assist with the overall framework, we have also included a visual representation in the report on page 8. And this concludes my remarks, and I'll be happy to field any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Trustee Brad McDonald and Trustee Jill Puminelli to put this on the floor for me. Question, concerns? I am not seeing any. All those in favor? Great. Thank you for that report. Much appreciated. Okay. All right. We're moving down to item 15.2, Safe and Caring School Plan. Director Sue.
Through you, Chair Green, I will now ask Associate Director Harjeet Aujla to present the Safe and Caring Schools Plan report.
Thank you very much, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. The attached report lays out the board's ongoing strategic work to create safe and caring schools. The report highlights a multifaceted approach we will be undertaking directly connected to our school improvement and equity planning processes. The first will support a system-wide rollout of specific lessons and resources, and the second speaks to the development of a comprehensive safe school strategy over the course of the upcoming year. I will now ask Superintendent of Safe and Caring Schools, Michelle Stubbings, if she could please share the report.
Thank you, Associate Director Aujla, and through you, Chair Green. I am pleased to present the Safe and Caring Schools Plan. The Peel District School Board is committed to creating and maintaining teaching and learning spaces that are identity affirming, culturally rich, anti-racist, anti-oppressive spaces where all students can flourish. This report also upholds our commitment to deeply implement Policy 48, Safe and Caring Schools, to ensure all students, staff, and stakeholders feel welcome, valued, and safe. This report highlights two priorities for September. The first priority is a toolkit of grade kindergarten to 12 resources and age-appropriate lessons that will be delivered throughout the month of September in every classroom in Peel. It was developed in partnership with central superintendents and their staff. It ensures spaces and lessons for students and staff to co-construct a shared understanding of values and agreements for learning and working. It covers the code of conduct, appropriate online behavior, anti-bullying, being an upstander, consent culture, anti-human sex trafficking, the anti-vaping strategy, identity affirming learning environments, special education, and restorative justice. The second priority is the development of a comprehensive strategy that seeks to reduce incidents of concerning behavior in schools. The 5 pillars to the strategy include consultation, engagement, action, accountability, and results. During the consultation phase that will commence in September, the focus will be to meet with a variety of stakeholders to elicit their views and to review some internal data sets. This work will be led by the Safe and Caring Schools Department in partnership with field and central superintendents. This also aligns with Policy 48 and PPM 145 progressive discipline. This work is in its very initial phase, and I'll be happy to provide an update to the Board of Trustees in January 2024. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna ask you to put on the floor first, and Trustee Johal, okay? All right, then I'm gonna go to Trustee B. McDonald, then I'm gonna go to Trustee Pinelli, then I'm gonna go to Trustee Of. I'm seeing any other hands?
And, yeah, Trustee Bailey.
Trustee Bailey, all right, okay.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna go in
yes.
harder.
Yeah, through you, Chair, and thank you for this report. And there's 2 phases, you know, what you're saying, you're discussing with students in September, and then developing a strategy, 5-pillar strategy, which one pillar is consultation, which I think is great. And I assume parents are one of that community group. But I you know, the first phase, it's great to have kids being educated on some of these exceptions or behaviors or what ways that we want schools to run. Is that being communicated to parents? Because I think that, you know, that they're part of the team, the educational team, and are they part of that? Like you said, anti-vaping and other kind of things. Are they part of the consulting or of that educational September blitz, if we'll call it?
Thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald, and through you, Chair Green. Yes, parents are a critical component of both aspects of the plan. You will know, of course, that we were very vocal about putting out the code of conduct to parents as well, the anti-vaping strategy, and there is nothing in the toolkit that certainly could not be shared with parents for sure. In terms of the consultation aspect of the plan, yes, parents are critical components as well, and we will be speaking their voice.
Great, thank you so much.
Trustee Pinelli.
Please forgive my voice. I lost it over the weekend. I'm still getting it back. First of all, thank you so much for this report. I really appreciate the amount of work that's going into it. I know we talked a little bit before, and you know, we can really see the care that's going into the work behind all of this, and I'm grateful for it. I did want to flag, just when I was reading through the report before, that it mentions homophobia, but I think it is important that we recognize that we don't leave out the full 2S LGBTQ plus community. So just when we're writing about that, I want to make sure that we are including the full community. So I'm glad that Brad asked about whether, you know, about consulting with parents, because one of my questions, first of all, was are we giving parents the option to opt out of any of this the way that sometimes parents are able to opt out of parts of the curriculum, or is this something that is being taught as a human rights issue in our classrooms?
Thank you, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair Green. These lessons are about affirming identity. They are based in human rights. I don't see that we'll be opting out of this. We don't opt out of teaching human rights and valuing people for their full selves and how they arrive in our schools every day.
Thank you. I really am grateful to hear that. So thank you. I know that one of the challenges that we've been seeing is a lot of misunderstanding in the community about what is actually being taught in schools. And I think that that's been a recurring theme and something that we've continued to see heighten throughout the summer and as we are going into this new school year. So I did appreciate that there is going to be some communication with parents about what is going to be taught within the toolkit. Can you elaborate a little bit further about what that communications plan looks like to help parents understand what is going to be taught to their students or to their children.
Certainly. Thank you, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair Green. Right now with the toolkit, my department will be working with all field superintendents to help principals and vice principals understand the content of the kit, and we'll be specific in terms of what exactly should be shared and best practices. Principals will have some opportunities to bring these lessons forward, either in school councils, depending on every school, and we'll have principals make those decisions.
Will there be any materials that are, sorry, through you, Chair, will there be any materials that are shared on the website, for example, or through social media channels, just so that we know that we are more broadly communicating with the community, or is it sort of going to be on a judgment basis, school by school?
Thank you, Trustee Promoli. I'll take that one under consideration.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I just have a little bit more. And again, please forgive the timing of this question. I know that we did have a motion that we passed unanimously in June asking for a report and plan coming to the September meeting. So I recognize that this is early. But given that we know that there are currently nationwide protests and walkouts planned for September 20th, and so that's coming in advance of our meeting, and we are going to see our students going back to school earlier. Are there any additional steps that we are taking as we're preparing to see our kids go back to ensure that we are planning to protect students with the heightened aggression towards the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, and specifically with those protests and walkouts in mind?
Thank you, Trustee Promoli, and through you, Chair Green, respectfully, I'll ask my colleague Superintendent Hart to respond to that question.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair Green. We have worked on the 2S LGBTQIA+ action plan, and we're able to engage in some early conversations in the beginning of the summer. We've collaborated with Workplace Equity, and so we are very hopeful to have that come to board at the end of the month, with the opportunity to consult as the school year begins with multiple stakeholder groups on that action plan. But proactively, we will, through Human Rights, they've developed a Humanity Starts at Home letter, and we've also drafted some stock letter communication that principals can use to send home, because we recognize we've been seeing that shift in the landscape from June and across the summer. So proactively, we'll be putting some supports and resources in place to help administrators, deal with some of the concerns they're seeing around competing rights. But we recognize that human rights is for all of the students that we serve in this system, and proactively we do need to dispel some of those myths. So we have put together some resources that will support school-based principals in their communication to families.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Just one last question. And I'm glad that you brought up some of the issues that we saw back in June. I know that with the beginning of Pride Month on June 1st, we did see some widespread planned absences. Some of the schools that I represent reported seeing as high as 40% of their students absent on June 1st. And recognizing that we do have planned walkouts and protests with a specific date in mind, are you able to, following the September 20th date, report back to us to let us know what effect we are seeing in terms of our attendance, just so we can see as a measurable how our interventions are helping to address the situation and help us continue as a board to do better to help serve our students and protect our community?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair Green. In terms of coding for absences, as you would know, parents can identify that it's a parent-approved absence for that particular day. So we would be making, I'm hesitant to make a correlation necessarily, even though it is a planned walkout, that is the reason why a student is absent. But I can speak to kind of what are some proactive pieces that our department can provide to schools and to families around, and anticipating what may occur on that day. And I would kind of defer to Governance Officer Lockyer around kind of if you wanted to see that report, what that could look like.
So what I'm going to suggest that we take that back because it's very obviously that that question is not readily available. And we'll take that back and take it and maybe what I can do, Trustee Feminelli, is to ask that you connect, just give staff a little time and connect back with either Catherine, our Superintendent Art, to provide you some answers on that.
That'd be fantastic.
All right,
Thank you
thanks.
both so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Trustee Hoff.
Thank you, Chairman. Yep, just to reiterate support for Trustee Promoli's last note on June 1st at the start of Pride Month, I definitely had some classrooms where there were only about 9 students present. And while again, we can't, draw a correlation or make assumptions, I think there's usually, there's a significant difference. So just wanted to echo my support for that last note. I would very much like to also have that information as to absences for that date that I won't mention in September. Just moving on, I was hoping to get a clarification for the Safe and Caring Schools Policy 48. For that training, can we ask that, or can I ask for which staff would receive that training? More specifically, would QP 2544 staff receive that training?
Superintendent Stubbins.
Thank you for the question. And through you, Chair Green, are you asking specifically for Policy 48 training around suspensions and expulsions, procedural fairness, investigations?
Sort of. So through you, Chair, yes. And more broadly, yeah, anything that would fall under that umbrella. I'm asking this on behalf of a constituent that has reached out for a clarification.
So I think I would like to tease that out a little bit and find out exactly what you're asking. Certainly we can offer the training, but Policy 48 is really focuses on students and procedural fairness, progressive discipline. But again, I'm happy to engage in a conversation around that.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'll definitely take that offline and connect with you on that. In this report, I noticed that I read that there was mention of a calendar for the month of September in the Safe and Caring Schools Toolkit. Just wanted to clarify, and I also read that there would be an update coming January of 2024. Moving on from September to October throughout, would it be fair to assume that a calendar would also be provided for the months coming after?
Thank you for the question. And through you, Chair Green, the calendar that is attached to the toolkit is specific to the month of September. It's really an opportunity to set all schools in the same direction. It provides an example of what to do and how to do it. The expectation will be that principals will continue this work, individually and site-based. These lessons, this work, evidence of progress is connected to the SEEP and the sense of belonging goal. And throughout the year, principals will be required to upload evidence of ongoing work. So there's no calendar per se beyond the month of September, but it is the expectation that this work continues throughout until June.
Thank you very much. And through you, Chair, I'll try and be quick. Just going to change gears slightly. So as it relates to Safe and Caring Schools, I was hoping for a little bit of an elaboration on what exactly we're doing for vaping. As recent as just the end of the last school year, I won't name the schools, but I happen to have gone into more than one school where administrators had confided that, it was getting to the point where it was so difficult to manage that bathrooms were needing to be locked and unlocked, and it was becoming difficult to manage what seemed to be out of control vaping in bathrooms. Can we ask for an update on what's being done specifically there and the clarification for steps moving forward to kind of curb the vaping in bathrooms issue we're seeing?
Thank you for that. And through you, Chair Green, certainly vaping has been raised as a concern throughout last year. In the code of conduct and the toolkit that we do have a specific slide on appropriate washroom behavior, which includes no vaping. The anti-vaping strategy does speak to information that we can provide parents, so parents are aware of what vaping looks like, the materials, the pens that the students use,
There's information to students around vaping and the dangers of vaping. And we also have stock letters to parents about warning, step 1, warning number 1, warning number 2. There are fines from Peel Public Health as well that could be levied, but we really want to educate our students and parents about what vaping is. There are strategies that principals, schools will use that do include frequent monitoring of the washrooms, who's out of class, when, and engaging in those conversations. So taking a progressive approach, I think is critical. And again, an entire washroom strategy is part of the code of conduct that we've got going.
Through you, Chair, thank you. That's going to end my line of questioning. My last note on vaping is perhaps, are parents being notified of the progressive discipline that comes with it? I see you nodding. I take that as a yes. Okay, so I suppose we'll wait for the update that comes to see how well the policy is working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Bailey.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I was reading about the Safe School, well, read the whole thing, but my question is regarding the Safe Schools Toolkit. And it talks about expectations for safe, positive, inclusive student behavior, code of conduct, teaching about code of conduct, mutual agreements, those classroom expectations, and it goes on. My question is, how is this different from any other year in which they've done this? Is the toolkit, can you explain how it's different versus the standard of what they do each year? Because my son talks about this the beginning of every school year. Thank you for the question, Trustee Bailey, and through you, Chair Green. The toolkit that we have put forward is resources that every school is to use. It's a really consistent message to all students, to all families. This ensures that there are no schools that are perhaps not addressing this right at the get-go. So again, a consistent system-wide approach to not only expectations for behavior for every student K to 12, but really about the need to create communities, safe communities within our schools. It's layered. These lessons that are in anti-bullying and consent, they're not standalones, but they all share the same message around the need to respect the humanity of others. They're grounded in human rights. They center the identity, a firm identity of all children. And so the message in this toolkit, I suggest is very clear and will be consistent throughout the system. So schools that are already doing this, is what you're saying, is there's nothing added to it. Is there any, that's what I'm trying to find out, is there anything added to it versus what's already been done? Or is it just streamlined? Thank you, Trustee Bailey. I would say that this is quite a comprehensive toolkit, that it's not an add-on, but we're really explicit about the behaviors that are okay in a school and those that are inappropriate. We talk specifically about anti-bullying, all forms of bullying, and what that looks like and what that sounds like and how to disrupt. When we talk about consent, we're talking about making sure that students know, that they deeply know what consent is, that they're not to be sexting, that they're not to be sharing intimate images without permission, that they're not to be engaging in pantsing and voyeurism. So this toolkit, the lessons in here are very explicit, they're very detailed, and they're very comprehensive. Thank you. Okay.
Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. We definitely need this plan. We definitely need this toolkit. So thank you for bringing it forward for us to share our questions. My question is around the success measures that you have listed here. I don't see anything here that says we'll measure a quantitative assessment, where this year we'll be able to show, as a result of this work, fewer incidents of violence, fewer fights, fewer suspensions, fewer expulsions, fewer everything, frankly, that scares our students from coming to school to study when they feel frightened. We know this, right? This is not new. Students who feel afraid cannot learn. And I would like to see us know that by the numbers, there's nothing in here that says we're going to measure that numerically. And is there anything you think is not doable about that? And that's why it's not there? Through you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron, and through you, Chair. Certainly accountability is important. We must be able to measure to see if our work has the intended impact. So principals will be delivering, teachers will be delivering all of these lessons throughout September. They will be uploaded to the SEEP site. Principals will be collecting school data and will be able to determine greatest areas of needs and have specific strategies in place to see if the work that we are doing is having the intended impact that we want. The bullying prevention and intervention plan is also incredibly comprehensive, and we have a full year-long checklist for staff, for principals with their safe and accepting school teams to continually come back to the school data to measure progress to see if it indeed this work is having the intended impact.
I would hope that through you, Chair, that we'd be able to see some numbers then. That's very practical for us to look at and see that this is working, and this is how we can prove that it's working. I think all the trustees across this board will have heard from constituents who have said, you know, my child isn't going to school anymore because they can't go to the washroom because things are happening in the washroom that prevent them from feeling safe. I think about this for myself in my own area, that I would hope to hear fewer of those phone calls. Like, that would be my measurement of this. But what I do know is our constituents will measure the success of this. I mean, the title says Safe and Caring Schools. So when we get a call and say, hey, Trustee Cameron, you got a policy on safe and a plan on safe and caring schools, but it doesn't feel very safe for my kid. So that's a measurement I can make within my own community, and based on phone call, the number of phone calls an email that I will get. I would like them to be zero. I'm sure you do as well, and that's what this is about. And maybe if we can have further discussion around how the numbers are reducing, we can have some really good discussions around feedback on what next steps we could take to keep this going, because I'm sure we all have heard of kids who just say, I'm not coming back to the school and I'm not coming back to this board. And that breaks my heart, because I want them to stay here and we have to protect them when they're here. So I appreciate that this is a start, and I look forward to the measurements revealing good results. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Trustee Johal.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just want to appreciate this great plan, and thank you for the toolkit. I just want to go back to the vaping issue, and like Trustee Cameron said, I have also been receiving so many phone calls where parents are concerned and they feel unsafe when their kids are in the washrooms, and there are huge gatherings sometimes. And I have noticed that the principals, when they do spot checks, and then if they try to take some measures, that so many students are not allowed to go at one time to the washrooms, that helps to control this situation. I was just wondering if you have anything in mind how we can avoid gatherings in the washrooms. Some community members have been suggesting if we can have kind of washroom, like one student at one time. So I don't know how we can control the situation, but just want to bring to your attention.
Okay. Trustee Johal, are you finished?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, so based on your statement that you make, staff is going to take that under advisement and look into what can be done. All right? Thank you. Trustee I don't normally go back, but I'm going to let you at this time go back, but this is not the normal procedure.
Thank you, Chairman Green.
Okay.
I appreciate I appreciate your kindness. Thank you. Just a note after listening to Trustee Cameron, you sparked something in my mind. Through you, Chair, would it be possible for us to ask in the report that comes in January, could we also have included in that report the number of 310 forms that were filed for this past school year going back 5 years? For my colleagues on the board that may be unfamiliar, a 310 is filed every time a student is in need of medical attention, as I understand it. Thank you. Medical attention as a result of violence. Thank you.
We do can definitely ask staff, but again, it's a lot of time, a lot of manpower, and a lot of money. So if that's something that staff can do, I will have a further discussion with Director Saru, whether within that time frame, but it may take a bit more time because of the work that would be involved to go back 5 years.
Thank you, Chairman. I asked this as a follow-up. I believe I asked this the first time we got the report on violence in schools, but I missed the 310s. But this is a follow-up from that.
Right.
But I understand. Hopefully, if by January, that would be great. But I think it's an important number for us to use to gauge whether or not our strategy on violence is successful. Having a few schools in my riding that have been struggling with the issue. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask you to put the report on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Benjamin, gonna second that.
Yes,
I
sir.
see
Thank you,
no
sir.
other questions. All those in favor of the report? Carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Trustee Superintendent Stubbin and Trustee and Superintendent Art for that report. Great. All right, so we're gonna move on to 15.3, which is the quarterly finance report. Director Saru.
Through you, Chair Green, I will ask Associate Director Jaspal Gill to present the third quarter financial report.
Thank you, Dr. Saru. And through you, Chair Green, this report provides board's actual expenditures up to May 31st, 2023. The overall expenditure rate is slightly above those of the previous years at 72%, but this is slightly below the benchmark of 75%. Although overall expenditures are trending below budget at this time, there is a variability in spending due to slow starts in certain programs and timing of expenditures. The report also includes expenditures and the ministry grant allocations outside of the GSN grants for student needs, as well as funding for federal and other third-party programs. Controller Letitia Charles and I are happy to respond to any questions.
Okay, thank you, AD Gill. This is something that we receive quarterly, and it's just here for us, keep us up to date. It's part of our responsibility to make sure that fiscal responsibility are taking place. Question, concern? Trustee Bailey's moving it. Trustee Brad McDonald seconded. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Okay, and we're going to move down to 15.4, which is our trustee annual learning plan. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our governance counselor, Ms. Lawyer.
Thank you very much, and through you, Mr. Chair. Before you is the report on the annual learning plan for trustees. The trustee annual learning plan was first required through the ministry directives. Since then, the board has added the requirement for the annual learning plan to the procedure bylaw. Each year, a series of learning sessions will be arranged and scheduled. This inclusion in the procedure bylaw indicates the commitment by the trustees to ongoing learning and development. The learning sessions are mostly mandatory, but some are not considered mandatory. As an example, the October 11th, 2023 session at the Center for Indigenous Excellence in Land-Based Learning is optional, as we are not recording that session, and there would be no way for someone who does not attend to review the session at a later date. Mandatory sessions are recorded, and if there is an obligation for all trustees that miss the live session to watch the recording and advise me that it has been viewed. Attendance is tracked, and the report before you indicates the attendance at all sessions, including if the session has been viewed for the 2022-2023 school year. With respect to planning the 2023-2024 sessions, we reached out to trustees for their input on what learning sessions they would like to have. The appendix to the report shows the sessions that have been arranged for the upcoming year. We are requesting the approval of the trustee annual learning plan for 2023-2024 as set out in the report. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, Trustee Clark and Trustee Davies, putting this on the floor for me. Question, concern? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, all right. Communication, none. Trustee motion for consideration, we have none. Trustee notice of motion, we have none. Can I ask Trustee Pomanelli and Trustee Benjamin to move adoption of the closed session report? All those in favor? Carries, thank you. Trustee Cameron and Trustee B. McDonald is moving adjournment. All those in favor? Carries, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a good night.